Hi there, and welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. If this is your first time here, my name is Marie. I'm a high school English teacher in San Diego, California. And you are in my classroom at my very messy desk. And I wish I could tell you that, like, oh, it's just messy because it's busy. When is it not busy at a school, in a classroom? And therefore, when is my desk not messy? So we're all about transparency and things being real around here. I am sitting down to do some grading right now of some quizzes that my students took yesterday, and I thought that I would kind of take you along on the journey a little bit here of grading these quizzes. I know when I was a new teacher, this is my 16th year teaching right now. When I was a brand new teacher, I would have absolutely loved someone to sit down with me and talk me through the process of grading practices. Because while it sounds like to those who have not done grading, especially at like this type of a level, like high school English classroom grading is different for a lot of reasons than people might think it is. There's a lot of nuance to grading. There are a lot of things that can be subjective, and there are strategies to make the subjective more objective depending on how you're grading, looking at it. Baby teacher me would have been I would have greatly benefited from somebody sitting down with me. So I thought I would do that today for all of you watching and listening. And yes, quick little what's even going on as I'm going through my messy desk and getting my quizzes. We're not going to do all of them because I have classes in the 40s, and that would be a very long vlog. However, I'll just do a few, and like I don't have this prepped at all. I am going to grab some sticky notes to cover their names with. I'll do that in a second. Before I get there, I just want to explain like what this class is that I'm going to be looking at. We are going to be looking at quizzes from Act 4 of Hamlet by William Shakespeare, and this is part of the curriculum in my world literature class for 12th graders. The greater context, those of you who have been around here for a minute have heard me talk about this a lot, but the greater context of this unit is that it is a unit looking at the essential question, exploring the essential question, are monsters born? Hold on, my phone is ringing. We're just gonna silence that one. Are monsters born or made? That is what we are grappling with throughout this study. And this unit is actually 2 Shakespeare plays. It's Hamlet now, and then next week we're going to be looking at Macbeth, and then we're going to be looking at the 2 side by side, these characters doing a little bit of like comparison and analysis, and a lot of just looking at who are the monsters in these tragedies. Were these monsters born and therefore always like this? Were they made? Is it somewhere in between? And just talking about that and then bringing it down to like real life. I have talked about this unit a few times here. I will link the videos down below where you can find more information about it. I also have talked about it at great length on the Brave New Teaching podcast that I am a co-host of. So if you have missed any of that, or you want to go and take another look, like, wait a minute, I think I did see this a couple years ago, that information is available to you. I will link all of those different resources. I also have a lot of the different parts of this unit available within the Shakespeare Festival, the very first one that we did with Brave New Teaching, which I will link down below so you can take a look at what I'm talking about. Just because when we start talking about curriculum, I always have a ton of ideas or questions and then ideas that come from watching other people talk about, other teachers talk about what they do in their classrooms. So I just wanted you to know where you can find that information, because I'm not the best at getting back to messages when school is in session, especially, right? I've got students that they're my first line of communicative priority. Yes. So, Post-its to cover their names while I'm grabbing the Post-its. It's just like really being in my classroom with me, everybody. While I'm grabbing the Post-its, I want to explain to you, these will work, that this quiz is a different type of quiz, I think, than most of us teaching Shakespeare or teaching any literature might think of as a reading quiz, because really it's not a reading quiz, it's a writing quiz. I like to give formative assessments, quizzes that really are skill-based. This is something that, speaking of Brave New Teaching, something that we talk about in our free masterclass, which is called Down with the Reading Quiz. And it's taking your formative assessments that we talk about in this 30 to 40 minute masterclass, depending on how chatty we are the day that we do it. We being myself and my co-host of Brave New Teaching, Amanda. We talk about how we give formative assessments in our classes and build them into our curriculum, how that they truly prepare students for the summative assessment for any given unit of study, and how to really use formative assessments as an essential and invaluable learning tool for a teacher, or teaching tool really for a teacher. So like what I have right now is a specific type of formative assessment I give, and it's called a paragraph chunk quiz. And I talk about it in great detail in the masterclass Down with the Reading quiz, which you can totally see for free like right now. If you just, I'll put that link down, but this is gonna be a link heavy video. And so the ins and outs though, like quick and dirty of a paragraph chunk quiz, is that you can do it a lot of different ways, and I explain it, like I said, in the masterclass. Students are writing any or all of the following elements of a paragraph. They're writing a lead-in or context, they're selecting evidence to include, and they're using analysis in response to something, right? So what I did is I'll just show you a blank one. This is what the kids got for me. We watched not all of and read pieces of up through Act 4, but we have not finished Act 4 because Act 4 ends with Ophelia's death. We have not finished Act 4. We have only gotten up to Polonius and the scene that is between Claudius and Hamlet. I have it right in front of me. I want to say it's Act 4, Scene 3, I believe, is where we ended it up, is at the end of that scene where Claudius decides that Hamlet needs to get going to England. So this is after the mousetrap play has been sprung. This is after Hamlet confronts Gertrude in her chambers and unknowingly slays Polonius and then hides the body and then has a confrontation with Claudius, and Claudius says, "You're going to England." And that's like how he's getting grounded, basically. So students got this paper. After we did a close read, they got this paper, and on the paper it says directions, write a paragraph chunk, lead in or context, evidence, analysis to support one of the claims provided, circle your choice. They have 2 claims to choose from. Hamlet has continued to, and I quote Act 1, put an antic disposition on throughout the play thus far, or claim 2, Hamlet began with his plan to, quote, put an antic disposition on, but has in fact begun to lose his grip on reality. They were to use, we had done 4 close reads, 1 for each of the 4 acts of the play that we've examined thus far. Use their 4 close reads to find a piece of evidence that supports one of the 2 claims. Whether they believe it or not really is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, can they use the evidence from the text that we've looked at? So it's not a cold read of the text. Evidence that they have already done close reads on, we've already discussed. And then craft this chunk of a paragraph. Put the piece of evidence, the quote there, create context, lead in, and then analysis to connect the evidence to the claim that they are actually choosing. So I also gave them a rubric. This is key. And this is what we talk about in the masterclass Down with the Reading quiz. This is very hard for you to read, but you can see it looks like a lot. It's actually a pretty simple rubric that just has 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria for grading. 1 is the lead-in, the context. 1 is the choice of evidence. 1 is the analysis or the commentary, whatever you call it. And then 1 is conventions. They're like clarity of, like, can I read it? Can I understand what you're saying? And I only gave them 5 exceptional, 4 skilled, or 3 proficient, because I told them if they're scoring under a 3, under a C, it's an automatic rewrite anyways. So there's all that context for you. And we're already like 9 minutes into this video. But basically, when I am grading something like this, I am looking very specifically, I will probably start with the evidence. Like, I have student writing here. They need to write the lead in here, the evidence here, the analysis here. And I'm gonna start in the middle because that's the piece that I'm really looking for. So this piece of evidence, well, actually, this kiddo did not write a strict piece of evidence. I need something to write with. This is a good one for me to start on because this kiddo needs a little bit more redirection. And that also tells me when I created this that I want them to be writing direct quotes. I want direct text evidence because I want them to also practice citing Shakespeare in like parenthetically. So what I need to write on here, because I just have a paraphrase, when Hamlet is questioned by King Claudius about the whereabouts of Polonius, he dodges the question at first. Then, so this child was taking the closer we did yesterday in class. He then tells Claudius indirectly that Polonius is dead. He continues to threaten Claudius in simple terms, and in simple terms tells him to go to hell. We giggled at that part because it's a funny line. It's like the fanciest way someone's ever told someone else to go to hell. What I'm gonna write here is needs direct quote, but on the rubric, I am actually going to say that it's a well chosen, like I'm gonna circle the 4. It's a well chosen area because they're saying that Hamlet has actually lost his grip with reality. This kiddo chose claim 2, which is that he started to put on and put an anti-disposition on, but is actually having a mental health crisis, basically. And so it proves it, absolutely. And then the analysis goes on to say that Hamlet's actions show he's losing his sanity because of his threats and aggressiveness towards Claudius, and it is causing him to begin to lose his grip on reality. That is okay analysis, so that one I'm gonna give a 4 as well. I'm gonna say needs, sequence of ideas is absolutely reasonably clear. I need to do this with more than just there we go, an actual pencil would be helpful. I'm gonna say needs to be specific, to be more specific, because what I'm looking for there, in addition to direct quote needed, I'm writing this now on the actual rubric that I'm gonna put with the kiddos quiz. Direct quote needed, which I need to alter my quiz to say direct quotes. That was my bad. And I'll just have them go back and fix that, anybody that didn't. Direct quote needed. It needs to be more specific as to how this proves, like he's just saying that it proves it, but not really saying how it proves that he's losing. So the child is saying that Hamlet is losing his sanity because of his threats and aggressiveness. But I'm not getting why does showing me that he's threatening and aggressive show that he is losing his sanity? Like I need a little bit more there, right? So I'm gonna write down here, I'm gonna write actually on the rubric sheet, how does aggressiveness show loss of sanity? Question mark. And then I'm gonna go up to the top. So I'm really looking at this out of order. I'm looking at the evidence first, I'm looking at the analysis, and then I'm gonna look at the lead-in. And let's see what happens with the next quiz, because I might do it a little bit differently next time, we'll see. Hamlet originally planned to pretend to be crazy as a result of his father's death. The first thing that I'm gonna say is present tense. So Hamlet originally plans, because when we're talking about literature, we always want to be talking about it in the present tense, because the world, I always say the world of the literature is still going on even when we close the book, or even when we like turn the page, it's still happening within that realm. So that's kind of how I explain it to kiddos. Staying in the present tense is also just academic tone. Hamlet originally planned to pretend to be crazy as a result of his father's death to get revenge on Claudius for murdering Hamlet's father. However, he has begun. So too much information. Too detailed. We have too much information. I need only the necessary things. So what I would have been looking for here is actually something about the mousetrap being sprung, or something about having just killed Polonius, because that would key me into killing somebody and then not showing much remorse for it would be an indicator, oh, my lights are dimming, sorry, of possibly losing his grip with sanity, because his humanity is starting to go. Like that's the kind of information I'm looking for, or just something like that. I'm not playing a game of guess what the teacher's thinking with this child's work, but I'm just kind of explaining to you something like that, but that level of detail is what I would be looking for. So in this, the bell, we're gonna have to go. My prep is over. In this lead-in, I would be looking for more specificity. This is too detailed. So like straight down here, I'm circling the 4s because this is the first time we've done something like this. So next time it would be a little bit more harshly graded, but also, I mean, this is fine. It's like low B. Like this is like 81, 82 status right now, just based on what we are doing. I would really be looking for something more direct to the point in the play that they're pointing at, not just that he's pretending to be crazy or like pretending to put an antic disposition on, but specifically why this evidence. What is it about this moment and this piece of evidence that I'm going to be looking at? So I need that lead in or the context to point directly to this moment and this piece of evidence a little bit more specifically, if that makes sense. Let's see if we can do this before kiddos come in, shall we? Let's look at another one. We move. Let's see. Some of their handwriting is so small and I do not have my glasses on me. Okay. I'm gonna put over this kiddo's name. Here we go. The same claim. He's actually losing his grip on reality is what we are arguing here. The piece of evidence says not where he eats, but where he is eaten, which is from Act 4, Scene 3, that same scene actually that the first kiddo was using. And that is actually really great evidence right there. Let's look at the analysis. He just killed a man, but makes a mockery of him. The gravity of murdering a man does not affect him. I'm gonna say yes. Good. No sane person would show no empathy to a man they just killed. Fantastic. Points to a loss of grip of reality. Let's look up at the lead-in. After Hamlet murders Polonius, present tense, his uncle questions him about the location of the body. Exactly where we need it to be. I don't need a whole intro paragraph to tell me all of the backstory. I just need the context of this specific moment. So this one is a fantastic, actually that's going 5s all the way down. And conventions for the most part are pretty good. My conventions just look at like, is it legible? Is your grammar making it so that I can really read it and enhancing it, or is it getting in the way? That was a really good one. I'm really proud of this kid and I can't wait to see this kiddo later this afternoon to say, hey, good job, buddy. Very well done. Short, sweet, to the point. Sometimes these quizzes can have a lot of text to them that students are writing about. Sometimes they're really short and sweet and to the point. For instance, 1 sentence of lead-in, a very short piece of evidence, and 2 sentences of analysis. 3 sentences, short sentences of analysis are exactly what I'm looking for. Shows me how their thought process is working, shows me how we are working the evidence and working the text to make connections. Back to the big claim, yes. I have quite a few of these to work through while students are watching and reading the rest of Act 4 and getting into Act 5. So I hope that this has been helpful. I have kiddos at the door right now. I'm going to have to get going. Make sure you take a look down below in the description box to see all of the different resources that I have linked to all of this, because it's a lot. But hopefully hearing my thought process of grading something that can be so subjective, and I try to look specifically at the skills to make it more objective, is helpful. Check out Down with the Reading Quiz, our free masterclass on different types of formative assessments that really do serve you and are worth the time because they actually save you time and effort in the long run and are really an enhancement to teaching and a great tool. And I hope you're having a great week at school, and make sure to like, subscribe, and follow along because I will keep making videos like this if this is what helps you out. Thanks for coming by. I'll see you next time. Bye.